Hello, my friends. It is Wednesday afternoon, July 3rd, 2024. I'm here with my cat, and one of my cats, and we're drinking some tea, and we're going to continue talking about A Course in Miracles. Particularly, we're going to talk about forgiveness again, because you really can't talk about A Course in Miracles without centering on forgiveness. That is the fundamental principle, because what the Course wants us to do is the self-realization of non-separation from God. In order to do so, we have to heal our fractured vision, that we are seeing the past, we are not seeing the present moment. When we see the present moment, we are seeing God. We are seeing no separation. We are literally experiencing the peace that we are asked to choose. It's easy to say, I can choose peace instead of this. However, if we are not forgiving, then we can't choose peace. Forgiveness is that choice. It's a weird thing for me to talk about, as I'm often an advocate for no free will, as if you dive into the that no self state, that beyond the ego state, through any process of meditation, breath work, yoga, if you've had a non-dual awakening, you see through the appearance of a self. Doesn't mean the self doesn't exist. It means it doesn't exist as we think it does, that it's illusory because it's not a thing in and of itself. It's a collection of thoughts that has been heavily invested in. But when you see through it, then you also see there's nothing to forgive. So on the level of the ego, on the level of the doingness, on the level of will and choice, we make the choice to forgive. And when we do, we see. We're literally bypassing the ego. We're using the ego. It's as Ramana Maharshi said, that you remove a thorn with a thorn, and then you throw both thorns away. So it is the ego just providing a glimpse of the non-ego state, of the non-separate state. And then we're released from both. Does that mean we're absolutely free of the ego's grip? Probably not at once. It happens for some people. It has not happened for me. However, through the process of forgiving and forgiving and forgiving, through 3 decades of meditation, daily breath work, lots of yoga, things are lighter. I'm more joyful. I'm happy. I can forgive. I can experience a true deep sense of joyfulness, especially through the practice of defenselessness. Simply giving up the idea of attack thoughts. That me, who I am, beyond the ego, only the ego is attacked. So giving up that sense of ego's hold, I can't be attacked. And what a truly great sense of freedom that is. Again, it doesn't stick, but it comes back. That's the whole great thing of practice. I know in a lot of non-dual communities, you'll hear there's no need to practice, which is fine. And if there isn't a need for you to practice, that's completely awesome. For me, there's a need to practice, and the practice is the thing itself. The practice is the experience, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love my practice. All of it. From none of it is a chore. None of it has that energy of a seeker. It has the energy of an explorer. I get to explore the entirety of the process of surrendering to what is. And what is what's present when we forgive, when we let go of the past. So I wanted to read, just speaking of past, just a couple references here on forgiveness. You might not see it at first as forgiveness. This is from a course, from the workbook. The first one is from the workbook. I believe all of them are from the workbook. That I can escape from the world. I can escape from the world that I see by giving up attack thoughts, my judgments of others and myself. So we look around the world, that is a projection of the mind, a projection of the ego, a projection of the mistaken mind, and we see a world of turmoil, confusion, pain, suffering, sorrow, warfare, crime. None of it is real. I know a lot of people have some issues with that. How can it not be real? It has to be real. I'm experiencing it. On this level, yes, we are. What the Course is saying, if you want to perceive a different world, we change our perception. Do not seek to change the world, change how you perceive the world, is what the Course tells us. So here, I can escape from the world. I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts, my judgments towards others and myself. There's the important thing, the attack thoughts that we have on ourselves. It keeps us in this world that is perceived by the ego. Look for another world, deeper. See what happens. Here, number 2. This is again from the workbook. I see only the past. Now we're getting somewhere. Everything that we see is just the past. And we keep projecting it outwards and outwards. And that's the world that we have. Everything is in the past. If everything was just now, which it is, but we don't realize it, what would be happening? Let's go on to number 3. Above all else, I want to see. What do we want to see? We want to see the present, what the present holds, which is only love. And number 4, I must have decided wrongly because I am not at peace. I made the decision myself, but I can only decide otherwise. But I can also decide otherwise. I want to decide otherwise because I want to be at peace. So we can always decide again. Choose once again. That's the whole concept of, in this moment, I can choose kindness. In this moment, I can choose to forgive. In this moment, I can choose to see. 5, we were talking about this, again from the text. Do not be afraid of the ego. It depends on your mind, because remember, the ego isn't the mind. It's a concept in the mind. And as you made it, the ego, by believing in it, so can you dispel it by withdrawing belief from it. Just hold it lightly. Don't believe it. Realize that it's fiction, self-created fiction. Do not project the responsibility for your belief in it, the ego, onto anyone else, or you will preserve the belief. When you are willing to accept sole responsibility for the ego's existence, you will have laid aside all anger and all attack, because they will come from attempts to project responsibility for your own errors. The only error is the belief in separation. Separate from what? Separate from God, separate from the Tao, separate from each other, separate from life itself, separate from the universe. We can simply say God, separate from God. But having accepted the errors as yours, do not keep them. Give them all beliefs in sin, guilt, fear, and that we are a separate self, over quickly to the Holy Spirit to be undone completely. Remember, the Holy Spirit is it's a guide. It's the voice of God that is present within each and every one of us. We don't have to take it as, the traditional religious Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit is simply our guide. Give it another name if Holy Spirit doesn't sit well with you. The voice of silence. How's that? The voice of wisdom. And step 6. This will be our last one. This is from the manual, actually. This is a shift that true perception brings. What was projected out is seen within, and their forgiveness lets it disappear. For there the altar to the Son is set, and there his Father is remembered. Remember, the Course uses Christian terminology, although by rights it is not Christianity. Here are all illusions brought to truth and laid upon the altar. What is seen outside must lie beyond forgiveness, for it seems to be forever sinful. Where is the hope Where is the hope while sin is seen as outside? What remedy can guilt expect? But seen within your mind, guilt and forgiveness for an instant lie together, side by side, upon one altar. There at last are sickness and its single remedy joined in one healing brightness. God has come to claim his own. Forgiveness is complete. What needs to be forgiven is what lies within the mind, projected outwards. We forgive the world by forgiving our mind. We forgive our mind by forgiving the world. Pretty simple, but it takes a bit of work. So here is 1, 2, 3, 3 simple steps. What if the real source of my not feeling peaceful or happy is not something external in our behavior or even our own behavior, no matter how bad that behavior may seem? Ours. We own it. If we see it, we own it. It's projection. What if the real problem is internal to the mind, where I simply have chosen to believe I could push God and peace away, and that's why I'm unhappy? When I allow myself to hear Jesus, terminology again, or we could say the Holy Spirit, tell me your innocence, tell us our innocence, and real identity as God's Son is still intact, and so is my mind. Then I truly feel his love and his presence, and I know he's telling me what he's telling me is true. And from this happy and safe place, I will intuitively know what to do next in any given situation. Just a matter of choice. Coming from someone who has a different view on free will, I'm coming back to choice. Because when you make that choice and you discover that selfless self, there's no more choosing. There's only one choice. We choose to forgive, and in that forgiveness, when we've truly, truly forgiven everything that's ever come towards us, then we see there really was no choice. There was the illusion of choice. And everything was just one step in remembering who we truly are. So that guy's a little bit longer talk. But it was worth it. It was worth it for me. Again, this is just simply me working my way through the course once again, numerous times for 30 plus years. I finished the course completely in 2009, and I stepped aside, sort of, under the assumption that now that I'd finished, the course would work through me. And it has, quite a bit, quite extensively, but not completely. And as the course says, you can't totally commit sometimes. So here's the commitment, the final commitment. I hope. We'll see. Thanks, guys.